Splice Originals.
Welcome to In the Arena, a podcast dedicated to past, present, and future educators. This is episode 4, the season finale. I am your host, Brentley Caballero. I want to thank everybody who has joined me on this journey. I hope you have been inspired and informed, as that was my ultimate pursuit. I am wrapping the season with a teacher spotlight that connects to one of the most important moments in Texas public education history, and I will follow up with a deep dive into House Bill 3, otherwise known as the Teacher Incentive Allotment, where, according to the bill, outstanding Texas teachers can earn a designation, a distinction awarded to the highly effective public school teachers. But what exactly does outstanding entail? What do teachers think about it? How will it impact the future of educators in Texas? This is episode 4 of In the Arena. Let's get it. For our final teacher spotlight, we have Mr. Greg Barrios, who dedicated over a decade to teaching K-12 students in Crystal City, Texas. I chose Mr. Barrios to spotlight because he reflected the dynamic nature of many past, present, and future educators who have and continue to contribute to society in multiple facets due to their talent, skill, and drive. For those unfamiliar with Crystal City's historical significance, it was the location of a culture-changing student-led walkout and months-long protests due to the rampant discrimination against predominantly Mexican-American or Chicano students across the district. Mr. Greg Barrios was a politically conscious writer who went to Crystal City to tutor striking students. Here's an excerpt from an article he wrote 40 years after the walkout. Back home, Texans for the educational advancement of Mexican Americans mobilized educators to Crystal City to teach striking students during the holidays. Since the schools were closed, they met in a community dance hall. I was one of the teachers who answered the call to tutor the striking students. I was immediately taken back by the poise and confidence of the striking students, but more impressed by their eagerness to learn. I was humbled when the students asked if I would return to teach once the walkout was over. He eventually, thanks to the documented coaxing of his students, became an English teacher after the protest proved successful, resulting in a sweeping change across the district regarding Mexican-American representation in terms of educators and board members. As a student of UTSA, but a resident of Austin, I could sometimes feel disconnected to my soon-to-be alma mater, but by learning bits about its history, about the citizens of San Antonio, I feel more connected. Mr. Greg Barrios was born in 1944 in Victoria, Texas, and from an early age, he developed a passion for literature and writing, but later moved to San Antonio. The city was central to his creative and activist work. With its deep-rooted Mexican-American history and vibrant community, it was the perfect backdrop for Mr. Barrios, who was deeply invested in exploring the complexities of identity and heritage. Mr. Barrios first gained recognition in the 1960s and 70s as part of the Chicano literary movement. This was a time when Mexican-American writers were pushing back against cultural invisibility, and Barrios was right there at the forefront, contributing to the creation of a distinct Chicano-American voice in literature. His poetry and plays reflected the struggles of Mexican Americans and the Chicano movement for civil rights, exploring themes of cultural identity, assimilation, and resistance. One of Barrios' best-known works is his play Rancho Pancho. This play delves into the relationship between famed playwright Tennessee Williams and a lesser-known figure in Williams' life, Pancho Rodriguez, a Mexican American who was the inspiration for several characters in Williams' iconic works, including the main character in A Streetcar Named Desire. Rancho Pancho not only showcases Barrios' skill as a playwright, but also his dedication to telling stories that are often left out of mainstream history. Through his work, Barrios opened up new conversations about identity, race, and the hidden figures behind some of America's most celebrated cultural moments. And speaking of Tennessee Williams, Barrios had a long-standing connection to the legendary playwright. In fact, Barrios interviewed Williams in the early 1980s, and that interview became one of the defining pieces of his journalism career. Barrios' ability to connect with Williams on a personal and intellectual level speaks volumes about his skill as both a writer and a conversationalist. He was always interested in the human stories behind the art, and that's something that really shines through his work. And in addition to his contribution outside the classroom, Mr. Barrios was also a prolific journalist. He wrote for a number of publications, including the San Antonio Express, News, Los Angeles Times, and the Texas Observer, where he covered everything from politics to culture to the arts. His journalism was often intersected with his activism as he used his platform to elevate the voices of those who are often overlooked in mainstream media. As a journalist, Mr. Barrios had a knack for highlighting the intersections between art and social justice. For example, he wrote extensively about the Chicano civil rights movement, not just as a political movement, but as a cultural one. He understood that the arts, whether it was theater, literature, or visual arts, played a crucial role in defining what it meant to be Chicano in America, and he worked tirelessly to ensure that these stories were told. Mr. Barrios believed in the importance of passing down knowledge and supporting the next generation of artists and activists. This is one of the main reasons I chose him to be the Teacher Spotlight to end this season. The sense of mentorship is a huge part of his legacy. He wasn't just focused on his own success, but on building a larger, more inclusive cultural landscape. Another important aspect of Mr. Barrios' life was his work in the LGBTQ plus activism. As an openly gay man, Barrios was a vocal advocate for the LGBTQ plus rights within the Chicano community and beyond. He often wrote about the intersection of race, sexuality, and identity, and he wasn't afraid to challenge stereotypes or push boundaries. In this way, his work resonated not only with the Chicano community, but also with the broader LGBTQ plus movement. As I wrap this season's final Teacher Spotlight, I hope the life of Greg Barrios can inspire all of us, whether educators or not, to remember and honor your ability to be multifaceted. Allow yourself to be dynamic. Teaching is, of course, a fantastic way to contribute to society, but there are so many ways to do that. Mr. Barrios taught us the power of having multiple tools at your disposal when trying to build a better world. Sadly, Mr. Barrios passed away in August of 2021 at the age of 80, leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire and resonate. His life, his legacy, his career are a testament to the power of art and education as a tool for social change, and we are all better for the stories he told, the lessons he facilitated, and the voices he amplified. That's it for the last Teacher Spotlight of Season 1. Up next, we'll explore the Teacher Incentive Allotment and learn how it's impacting educators in Texas. Welcome back to In the Arena, a podcast dedicated to past, present, and future educators. We are wrapping up Season 1, Episode 4, with a deep dive into a topic that has been making waves in the Texas education system, the Teacher Incentive Allotment, or TIA. In 2019, Texas passed House Bill 3, a sweeping school finance reform that, among other things, introduced the Teacher Incentive Allotment. It's designed to do two key things: reward top educators with additional compensation and attract and retain high-quality teachers in Texas classrooms. Today, we're going to unpack what TIA is, how it works, and what it means for teachers, schools, and ultimately, students. So let's start with the basics. The Teacher Incentive Allotment aims to offer Texas teachers the opportunity to earn higher salaries based on their performance. Sounds good. But that performance isn't just about test scores. Texas recognizes that effective teaching is more than just that. They've created multiple pathways for teachers to earn these incentives, focusing on both classroom impact and broader leadership roles. The heart of the allotment lies in a designation system that ranks teachers into three categories: recognized, exemplary, and master. Of course, these categories determine the level of compensation that teachers are eligible for. A teacher designated as recognized could receive around $3,000 to $9,000 in extra salary annually. Exemplary teachers may earn anywhere from $6,000 to $18,000, and master teachers can receive between $12,000 and $32,000 per year in additional pay. These amounts vary depending on the districts and the needs of the school, especially in high needs or rural areas. Now, how are these designations determined? It's a combination of teacher observation data, student growth measures, and other local criteria. Importantly, Texas has adopted a flexible system that allows districts to create their own performance-based designation plans, so long as they meet state approval. This means each district can tailor the TIA to fit the unique needs of their students and staff. And that's a crucial part of what makes the system work. There's no one-size-fits-all model. Another thing to note is that the TIA doesn't only benefit teachers. Schools struggle to attract or retain top talent, such as rural schools and schools with the higher levels of economic disadvantage. Another thing to note is that TIA doesn't only benefit teachers. Schools that struggle to attract and retain top talent, such as schools in rural areas or schools with higher levels of economic disadvantage, can use the allotment as a recruitment tool. The higher the needs of the campus, the greater the incentive a teacher can earn. So, the hope is that this system will lead to more equitable access to high-quality instruction for students across the state. Let's take a closer look at the numbers. As of now, thousands of teachers across Texas have already earned designation. The funding for these incentives is expected to continue to grow, with projections that the state could see billions in additional compensation flowing to teachers over the next decade. However, with any program of this scale, there are always concerns and downsides. Some critics have raised issues about the potential for inequity in the way designations are awarded, especially if certain teachers or subjects are more likely to receive designation based on the measures used. Others are concerned about the sustainability of funding and whether the state can continue to fully fund these incentives long term. There's also the pressure that teachers might feel when the pay is tied to evaluations or student outcomes. On the other hand, many educators see this as a step in the right direction for professionalizing the teaching workforce. Teaching is one of the few professions where experience and tenure often trump direct performance when it comes to compensation. The TIA represents a shift toward a merit-based system, something we see in many other professions. For teachers who are consistently going above and beyond, this can be an incredible way to recognize their hard work. What does this mean for teachers thinking about entering the profession or those who are early in their careers? The TIA offers a pathway to significantly higher earnings, the TIA offers a pathway to significantly higher earning, something that can make teaching a more attractive option for recent graduates or those considering a career change. Plus, with the additional funding going to the highest needs campus, there's an opportunity for teachers to really make a difference where it matters most and get rewarded for it. But at the end of the day, the success of TIA will depend on how well districts implement it and how it's perceived by teachers on the ground. Are the designations fair? Is the workload for earning a designation realistic? These questions will continue to follow as more districts participate and the program evolves. If you're a teacher in Texas, I'd love to hear from you. Have you been designated under TIA? How has it impacted your teaching experience? Send me your thoughts. We might feature them in next episode, which of course will be the start of season 2. Before we wrap up, let me give you a few resources. If you want to learn more about how the Teacher Incentive Allotment works, or if your district is participating, check out the Texas Education Agency website. It's really interactive, and you can learn a lot about which schools offer the highest average payout per allotment. You'll find a lot of details and information about how the program operates, application processes, and so much more. But that's it for today's episode. This is a wrap of season 1 of In the Arena. Thank you so much for joining me as we took a closer look at the TIA, otherwise known as the Teacher Incentive Allotment in Texas. I hope this helps shed some light on the important topic. And please, thank you for every subscriber. Thank you for everyone who left a review. Thank you for everyone who interacted with me on the student-based platform. We're going to keep on doing our thing. We're going to enter the arena here when we graduate soon. This is your host, Brent Gabriello, signing out. See you soon. Peace.
Splice Originals.